Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. What's going on, man? What's going on? This Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo. I apologize.
Yeah, it's your boy Scotty B, man. How are you doing?
You want me to be honest, or you want me to be for TV?
I feel like you've had a interesting week, so I thought I should check on you before we got into everything. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good considering. For those that don't know, I haven't really told many people, but I gotta have surgery. Actually, next week I'll be having surgery on my Achilles. So I'm not sure if we're gonna do the show next week, but we might depend. I am a man. But nah. I tore my Achilles, or ruptured my Achilles, so gotta have surgery on it, and so that's Tuesday. We'll see how the week goes. Unfortunately, but right now I gotta make sure that this good old leg is all right. You know.
Hey man, you're definitely in my family prayers, man. And like I said, man, if you need anything, just reach out to me. I'll be there for you. But enough about the pleasantries. What's going on, man? A lot going on in sports. Where do you want to start?
Well, before we even go to this, just go. Yeah, there's absolutely a lot going on. You know what? Let's take it a different. Let's start with like we always do. Let's start with some football.
Okay.
All right. So week 4 of the NFL has passed, and there's been some things that I guess we wouldn't expect, or something that we have expect. One of the things that I think we both saw coming was Justin Fields is now going to be the full-time starter for the Chicago Bears. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's too late? Do you think it's right on time, or do you think that he still shouldn't be starting?
I think you have nothing to lose by starting him. I think most people felt like Andy Dalton wasn't the answer. I would have liked him to get a little bit more studying and be able to be a backup for a little bit longer. But I think once you put him out there, and I mean he ended up out there because of an injury. Is no reason to turn back. I don't think if Andy Dalton comes back, he's going to make them any better. So you might as well get him the game experience, figure out how to use him, figure out what he needs, and let him get the experience. I do feel like this call came from up top. I don't think that this was Matt Nagy's decision. I felt like that they told him, like, you got to quit playing. You got to quit with the games. We're not putting Andy Dalton back in, and you're already on the hot seat. So if you can't figure it out, then we'll get somebody in here that can figure out how to use them, and we'll go from there. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I do think that it's about time. I mean, an up top call was made, and it was probably the right call. No, not probably. It was the right call. I feel like it's late. This should have happened in August. It should have happened when we got to I feel like, you get him the reps because from what I understand during camp, he didn't get any first team reps, and I think that's where they did him a disservice. And he Matt Nagy on it in a sense. I said this when we did our preview show that you had to give this guy the ball and let him run the team. He was your first round pick. I think it was 10 or 11. And you gotta go with him. Like you said, I don't think there's any turning back. And this is step one
of the process.
He's now the full-time starter. Now they could go now they could go on and continue winning. And don't be surprised if the Bears find a way to continuously win. It's not let's not act like the Packers are world beaters and the Vikings are that great, and we know what the Lions are. The Lions are just the Lions.
So I look at it a little bit different. I think what we're seeing this year with the rookies is it's a process, right? I think sometimes we get spoiled by the Lamar Jacksons or the Deshaun Watsons or the Patrick Mahomes or even Russell Wilson or some of those guys or even Justin Herbert as a late or Dak, to where like it's just that easy to just step into the quarterback position and you're just going to have instant success. The difference in almost all those guys' scenarios is that they had decent teams around them. I'm not even going to say good teams, but they had teams with some sort of pieces, whether it be a defense or whether it be some weapons on offense. And those guys with their abilities was able to go in there and elevate those teams to the next level. Justin Fields, he was picked 11 for a reason. And it's not all that he shouldn't have went before some of the other guys. The Bears, just even though they were a playoff team, they weren't the type of team that he walked into all weapons. They're going to have to put the right pieces around him for him to excel. And I think we saw it early on. If Matt Nagy cannot adjust to the type of talent that Justin Fields is, he's going to be out of the job, and they're going to put somebody else in that job that's going to bring out the potential that they drafted him with. Even with the 49ers, I look at Trey Lance and I look at Garoppolo and I look at, a lot of the fan base, they're ready for Trey Lance. And I personally, I like Garoppolo. I don't mind him sitting and developing, but you look at it, hey, does this guy have a higher ceiling? Can we get more out of him? And again, it's going to be a process. He's not going to come in there and throw for 300 yards every game and, set the world on fire. I mean, he's going to make mistakes, and we've just got to give him that opportunity if we decide to go with him.
So the thing with Justin Fields, like the Bears were a playoff team. Like they traded up to get him. It's not like the Bears were just sitting out of luck. They were a playoff team last year. They traded up to get him. Even like with Justin Fields, the team doctors, he wasn't going to start. He wasn't going to play at all last year. The team doctors just happened to puncture what's his name's Tyrod Taylor's lung or whatever. Yeah, I believe he had a punctured lung. So it it was a different situation. He just happened to play. He got on the field by injury. But it wasn't like the Chargers. I don't know if the Chargers were clamoring for a quarterback like of the future. Well, they were. They knew that Justin Fields was not Justin Fields, but Justin Herbert was the quarterback of the future. But they weren't pressed like the Bears are. The Bears have never had the Bears never had a franchise quarterback. I mean, some people may call Jay Cutler, but nah, he wasn't a franchise. He wasn't the guy. And so
Herbert's situation is a little bit different. So, yeah, I didn't mean cut you off. Go ahead and make your point.
No, go ahead.
So I watched Hard Knocks, right? I know that doesn't tell like a complete picture. The teams are only going to show you what they want to show. Watching the season with the Rams and Justin Herbert come in as a rookie, it didn't look like he was ready in training camp. Now, mind you, it was a pandemic training camp, so it was a lot different. But the way that they kind of like showed it was this guy needs to learn. Now, some people just they're gamers, right? So, maybe they're not the best, most impressive in practice, or maybe they're not the most impressive, like in a walkthrough scenario, but you put them in the game and it's just like, whoa, where has this guy been? And I think that's what happened with Justin Herbert, to where it was one of them things to where the team didn't necessarily, they knew he had talent, but it wasn't like the buzz that you hear with Justin Fields. Like you hear the buzz that Justin Fields, like some of the people in the Bears locker room, they want this guy on the field. Like they feel like this guy gives them the best chance of winning. Justin Herbert, it was just like, okay, we got a nice piece for the future. He's protected. I understand why they drafted him. And then voila, he just flourished, and it just was what it was. So slightly different situation.
No, I don't think it's that much different. Most of the time, most rookies, I said this last week, most rookies aren't ready for the NFL. Whether they're gamers or not, most rookies aren't ready. You have to adjust. I'm sure that the Chargers last year had to adjust their playbook to what they were going to give this kid to run. Once he got the call, now they figured, he could throw the ball down the field and he could get these guys, he can make plays. All right, so let's go with this package of plays. And that's what they're gonna do with Justin Fields. I know you said something about, I think the situation with Trey Lance and Justin Fields is different. Garoppolo went to the Super Bowl. I don't even think we should compare Garoppolo and Andy Dalton. And I understand that people will say, well, Andy Dalton,
he's done more throughout his career.
Yeah, but Andy Dalton's been there longer. He's been in the league longer. Garoppolo has been in 4 years, 5 years. The difference between right now.
And I'm not saying I would rather have Andy Dalton.
Right.
I'm not saying that either.
But it is, people can say what they want. Garoppolo has shown he can win. He has shown, and I'm not saying that about Andy Dalton. Right now, Andy Dalton just happened to be the wrong guy in the wrong spot. But Garoppolo has proven that the 49ers cannot win without him. They can't, even now. Like, we'll see, because he's probably not going to get he's probably still hurt enough to where he's not going to be able to play. Andy Dalton, Trey Lance is going to have to win. And I don't even know who the 49ers play this weekend. But it's going to be tough to win with Trey Lance.
Yeah, so let's get back to one point that you made, right? Mm-hmm. So stepping into the quarterback position is easily probably the most critiqued position in sports, as far as like one position to where all eyes is on you. You make a mistake, you're garbage, you're trash, get you out the game. If you make all the throws, you're a hero. So that's a lot of pressure in itself, right? You know, to step into that type of position. And then it's also a lot of pressure to be a leader among men, right? To come in and be that top alpha dog that you've got to take control of the locker room, you've got to lead the team, everybody's critiquing your performance. I mean, you pretty much have the team at the helm. You know what I mean? For the most part, some teams can hide their quarterback with good defenses or they'll have other weapons, but if you're in that situation, the team is always looking to upgrade their quarterback play. And that's the type of position that Garoppolo was in, to where it's kind of like, okay, the team was winning, which is ultimately always should be the most important thing. But people will zero in and be like, well, the team won, but he only threw for 180 yards and he threw a touchdown, he threw an interception. What if we had Aaron Rodgers or we had Dak, where he was throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns? Look how dynamic the team would be. So it's always that sort of opinion based from the fans, and I'm one of them too. You know, because I'm a fantasy player. That you sometimes forget that the W is the most important thing, not necessarily the stat line.
And wins come in all different fashions. Every win is not going to look like, 400 yards passing, 150 rushing, and you may get some wins where you got 130 passing and 150 rushing or even more. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you might have to win ugly. It just it happens, So I get that and I understand that. That leads me to let's stay with quarterbacks. Let's stay with the Browns, and they are 3-1. They're 3-1. It's just been reported that Baker Mayfield has a pectoral injury on his non-throwing shoulder, which may have caused the way he's been playing the last couple of weeks. I personally, I can say that that's part of it, but I think that he's trying. I mean, I know he doesn't have, it's coincidence that one receiver goes down and the other comes back, right? And I just think that his eyes are locked in on Odell, and I don't know if that's gonna work. If Odell with the Browns is gonna work now, it can and it's possible, but they have one of the best rushing attacks in the league. But like last week, I mean, he targeted Odell 7 times and only 2 completions. I don't know, but it was a time Odell was running by himself. I don't know if that marriage is going to work. They just seem like the Browns just seem to play better without Odell Beckham, and I don't know if I want to give it some more time, but I don't know.
I actually agree with you. I do think the Browns play better without him, and I don't think the marriage is going to work. And I don't think so. Let's backtrack to Baker being hurt. I do think that is contributing to some of his accuracy issues the last couple of weeks. I mean, you're playing hurt. You're not going, despite it being a non-throwing arm or shoulder, it is still going to have some sort of impact. But even if he was fully healthy, I truly believe that some quarterbacks just have certain guys that they get into a good rhythm with. They're just their guys. And I mean, you see it like the one that comes to mind, I guess, when I thought about it, and you'll appreciate this, Drew Bledsoe. When he was a Cowboy quarterback, he was like, you know what, Terry Glenn is my guy. That is my guy. That doesn't matter who you put on there. I throw to Terry Glenn. It was just, and it just worked when
they were teammates before Dallas.
Teammates in New England,
right?
And Terry Glenn, his career, I'm not going to say it went on hold, but nobody could get him the ball like Drew Bledsoe. And from that moment, and this is an old interview or whatnot, and because he ended up lobbying for Terry Glenn to go to the Cowboys and stuff, and he just he said, I don't know what it is. That's my guy. That's who it is. And I believe it might have been Keyshawn Johnson at the time that might have been on the other side of him. And Terry Glenn was getting all the balls. It was like, yo, throw the ball to Keyshawn Johnson. He's like, nah, that's my guy. What other tandems can you think of?
Well, before I guess we could say rest in peace to Terry Glenn. He passed away a few years ago. No, I think that we can stay with the Cowboys. When when Dak got there, Romo was getting the ball to he was getting the ball to everybody, but what's his name? Jesus Christ. Dez Bryant. Dez, his numbers dropped, of course he was hurt, but Dak was getting the ball to Beasley and Witten a lot more than Dez. I know Dez was hurt, but when he came back, he was getting the ball to Witten and Beasley. And of course the running game was but it was just different. It was just different when you bring in that other guy who is succeeding and may not they may not want to open up the playbook for that guy. There's going to be somebody that takes the hit, and I know Odell Beckham is a big personality. He has a huge personality, but I feel like Baker Mayfield is still not doing. He's off, but it's still early. But I feel like he needs to go back to how he was in the second half of last season and getting it to everyone. Don't just focus on Odell. You still got Njoku. You got Hooper, but you know what? Hooper drops everything. I'm not sold on Hooper. Whatever. But you got that tandem of Hunt and Chubbs that you can ride on as long as you need to. So we're not gonna see 300-400 yards passing every week from Baker Mayfield. That doesn't make him that any less effective.
Well, no, because like you said, to your earlier point, wins come in all. Just any type of way, whether you're rushing or you're passing it. But I think that the next stop for Odell, wherever he goes, he's going to find that perfect marriage. We saw it with Randy Moss when he went to the Raiders. After he left Minnesota, when he got to New England, it was just like he just reemerged. Tom Brady, that connection was probably one of the strongest connections. We think of Gronk right now, but Randy and Tom had a good run. One connection that I wish they would have played a little bit longer, but they couldn't put their egos aside, was Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens.
Absolutely.
To this day, I feel like that Terrell Owens was McNabb's guy, and his numbers would have been a lot better had he played with Terrell a little bit longer. And
who's not McNabb's?
McNabb. Terrell Owens' numbers couldn't get that much better because when he left and went to the Cowboys, he had some decent seasons there. But I do think that
decent.
He was a Pro Bowler, but I don't think that he had any. He had more touchdowns. No, he didn't have more touchdowns.
Wait, in Dallas? Then he was. He was
there for 4 years. Well, he was there for 4 years compared to 2 years. But I believe 1 year, the year that they went to the Super Bowl, he had about 14 touchdowns with McNabb. And I believe that was his career high, if I'm not mistaken. Now he's had some double-digit receiving years with Dallas, but that connection when he was with McNabb, and it just worked.
Can I ask you a question? He had his career high in touchdowns in San Francisco, but
how many touchdowns did he have for his career high?
16.
Okay, so he has 16.
He had 16 in San Fran, 15 in Dallas, and 14 in Philly.
Okay, so what year did he have 15 touchdowns in Dallas?
07. But the year before that, he had 13.
So do you feel like he was a better connection with Romo over McNabb?
You're gonna get to my point. I mean, this is a question. I know we played a compare game. You already know where I'm going. Do you think Romo is a better quarterback than Donovan McNabb?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Come on.
Absolutely.
You think so? And you don't think that Romo is better than Eli Manning?
You thought I was just gonna go with McNabb because he was black?
No,
I felt like you racially profiling there. No.
But let me hold on. Wait. So answer my next question. Do you think that McNabb? I mean that Romo is. You think Eli is better than Romo?
Statistically,
fuck this is. I mean, forget the
statistically, I would personally, I'd rather have Romo. With Eli, Eli, you can't.
Hold on 1 second, Scott. Hold on 1 second, man. You're coming around, man. That's my quarterback.
I mean, with Eli, so let's move the argument here, right? Because we always find ourselves back. Romo was a phenomenal regular season quarterback. He ran into some tough luck. He did. He ran into some tough luck. But when you look at the numbers, I mean, he did his job. He did his job. So let me ask you this: you think that McNabb was a better quarterback than Romo?
Come on, man.
No, I mean, you sound like
you know. So before I continue, I think that I feel like McNabb took over an organization that was terrible. Was McNabb and Romo. I don't think McNabb gets the respect that the respect or the credit that he deserves for taking the Eagles to the NFC Championship 4 straight years. I mean,
he won ugly. He won.
I always go back to that play.
Won ugly. He won.
I always go back to that play on Monday night when he was playing. The Cowboys were a bad team that year, but I mean, he made the Cowboys look. He made the Cowboys look bad, and then completed that joint against the over the middle to Freddie Mitchell. I hated that too. I think he was one of the worst receivers in NFL history.
Okay, so I'll give you this though, right?
Mm-hmm.
McNabb had some of the worst receivers known to man until Terrell Owens got there.
Absolutely,
Mitchell,
absolutely,
L.J. Smith, Todd Pinkston, all those guys were.
Yeah. So terrible. I think that was part of where that his organizations did him. I mean, he had a good. I tell you what, if Andy Reid, because I think Andy Reid got better over time, and as a head coach, because I think Andy Reid was an offensive guru for quite some time, but they didn't get him. They didn't get him weapons. He had what's the running back's name? Westbrook. I mean, that was his best receiver. That was his best receiver up until they had a tight end, but up until Terrell Owens got there, he had nobody. And then he got
some weapons later on though.
He did.
He got some weapons with McCoy, Macklin, Deshaun Jackson. Like he ended up getting weapons,
but they were ready to move on from him at that point.
Yeah,
they had brought in Vic, and Vic just happened to get there with Deshaun Jackson or right around Deshaun Jackson. I mean, that was about the end of McNabb because he wasn't there much longer. And they went with Vic and then Foles and then who was after Foles? Wentz. So
you know what it is with McNabb? He had a terrible ending. Like he never got that second win. It was like when he left Philly he went to Washington, it was just like, wow. It was like, yo.
He looked bad.
Yeah, he looked bad. And then when he was with the Vikings, it looked really bad, man. I wanted to say man, had like
I agree.
Passing yards or something like that, man. It was bad, man. But like you said, and I guess it was in the comments, he has meant more to Philadelphia than Romo meant to the Cowboys. Just because
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I think when you start looking at like quarterbacks, you know, you got Roger Staubach, you got Troy Aikman, and you even have Dak that's kind of moving in that third spot, you know, over Romo, as far as like a top tier, well, not top tier quarterback, but one of the greater Dallas quarterbacks. When you look at the Eagles, I mean, Michael Vick had a good year, right? And it had a good couple of years, but those couple of years don't take away from what McNabb was able to do over the course of his career with the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. All right, let's get to the winner of the week.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, so I'm not going to beat this into a dead horse because I want to talk about it a little bit more. But my winner of the week this week is Urban Meyer. And the reason why he's my winner of the week is not about him going out and having a good time and dancing with other women. It's just the example of who he's claimed to be and just how he is just supposed to be an example for that franchise and what he preaches every day, and then to kind of come off a little like hypocritical, you know what I mean? And just I don't think he should be fired, but he definitely should be called out on that BS that he was on. Because if that would have been one of his players that would have been caught up in one of those situations, he would have definitely had something to say to them. And it just came off, man, just real hypocritical. And it made me look at him in a different light. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I thought it was pretty funny, and I feel like this is Urban Meyer being Urban Meyer. It's just catching up with him now on a bigger scale. I mean, the NFL is I mean, no matter how great college is, the NFL is a different animal and a different beast, and you're dealing with grown men. So when you say you expect one thing and then you start doing the other, you're gonna look crazy, you know. And once you lose the respect of the locker room, and those guys don't feel like you're a leader, they're gonna be like, man, get out of here. That stuff that you pulled in college isn't gonna work. So, I mean, because the crazy thing, like these things aren't new for Urban Meyer. Anywhere he's gone, there's been some sort of controversy. And if you're telling me Urban Meyer didn't know about Aaron Hernandez and some of those other people on that team, then I'm gonna call you a bold-faced liar. There's no way he didn't know all of those things, you know. And then you go to Ohio State. You know, it's convenient you have health issues when the pressure starts getting, when you know you start getting when everything starts coming up on you. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like Urban Meyer is not gonna last in NFL. I want to see him. I want to see how he gets out of this, because I tell you what, if the Jags were even just 2-2 right now, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It wouldn't be that big of a situation. Now they had an opportunity to win a couple of games, but you're 0-4. You don't fly back with the team, and then you get caught at some bar when you say you're going somewhere else with another woman. So and that other woman thing may not have been a big deal, but it's a big deal now that you're not where you said you were supposed to be or where you said you were going, and you sitting around looking crazy, So, he apologized, and I'm almost certain that those guys was like, man, whatever, man.
Well, did you hear how he apologized?
How
so there's been reports that he didn't apologize in front of the entire team. He approached them in all different groups and apologized. So I mean, it's anonymous sources, but they've heard. I mean that doesn't even go a long way, because you can't even hold yourself accountable in front of a group. You know what I mean? Like you messed up, and yeah, it wasn't a big mess up to where you should lose your job, but I think at bare minimum you should be able to hold yourself accountable to the group, because you're holding them accountable.
I mean, what it can cost him is it could eventually cost, because it'd be separate if it was like the first bad decision that he made. I mean, his first decision as a head coach was to hire one of his friends from that, the coach at Iowa, and he had all these other situations, with black players, and it's like, what are you doing? The Tim Tebow thing, that's just, so it's like, these haven't been the best situations in these last 5 or 6 months. They've been terrible. And now this is like, those little things start to become a big thing. And I don't know, man.
So let me ask you this, right? So he's got Trevor Lawrence. Most will say that he's a once in a generational quarterback. Right now, I think he's still showing the tools. He's struggling, as most rookies on bad teams will. Same thing happened with Peyton Manning. Same thing happened with Troy Aikman. I mean, it is a process. Do you think he's the right person to guide him through that process?
As of right now, no.
No.
As of right now, no. Right now, I don't think he's made for the NFL. At least Nick Saban had some NFL experience before he got the Dolphins job. He had been a coach in the NFL. But there's just some missing in that situation with Urban Meyer. I feel like he's just, I don't know, man. It's something ain't right, and I feel like they going something ain't right him right out the door, and I'll really be surprised if he makes it through the whole year. At this point, if he has another blunder, at that point,
he'll make it through the year. All right, so somebody want to shift gears, because I know we're pressed for time, and we got somebody coming on, and we'll get into that. But Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets situation, how is that going to end?
So let me step back real quick on that, right? And I'll get to Kyrie Irving in a second. The NBA, this has to be the worst possible start to the NBA season, to their 75th anniversary season that they wanted to have to deal with, right? Because it's not just Kyrie Irving. You got Andrew Wiggins, you got Ben Simmons, you got Kyrie Irving, and then you got all the other guys that aren't superstars like them, that aren't vaccinated, right? So I think the question should be, how can the NBA fix their public relations right now in regards to everything, and try and get people to not talk about all the things with the vaccines and things like that. I personally think that one of the ways that they can do that is by producing the list of the 75 greatest NBA players, right? And there are gonna be guys left off of there, and that'll dominate the headlines, and hopefully Kyrie will figure out what he wants to do. But in the case of Kyrie Irving,
you think that's enough of a cover up?
I don't want to say a cover up, but
a distraction. You think that's a distraction?
It'll be a distraction. If enough people start talking about it, it'll be a distraction. I mean, in this social media world, it'll be enough of a distraction to where it'd take think about it. For 2 straight weeks, damn near, we were talking about Ben Simmons and what is he gonna do. All it took was them to say Kyrie Irving is not vaccinated. He's gonna miss X amount of games. Andrew Wiggins was gonna miss X amount of games, and then it went to Kyrie Irving. And I mean, shit. Even here, we hadn't talked about Ben Simmons in the last 2 weeks. And he still ain't showed up. he still hasn't showed up. So, but it's just the way how things work. But in the case of Kyrie Irving, honestly, it's gonna be on Kevin Durant, and I mean, you can't really tell somebody what to do. I don't think they should tell them what to do. But you got to have a conversation. I feel like they should have some sort of conversation if they haven't already. I'm sure they've probably had conversations already. But if he doesn't get vaccinated and he has to miss home games, it's gonna be a little sketchy on what, because you're not gonna be able to trade him. I don't think you'd be able to trade Kyrie because his contract is huge.
But do you attempt to trade him? I mean, it's going to be tough. Do you attempt to move on from him? Is he worth all this?
Well, that's a organizational thing. I mean, he helped get Kevin Durant to Brooklyn. So they probably would have already tried to trade him if it wasn't for Kevin. Kevin Durant wants to play with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, but plenty of players have recruited other players.
Yeah, but
does that mean that they owe you for a lifetime?
No, it's been a year. They've only been there 2-3 years. I mean, so the thing is,
they've been there 2 years.
Yeah, this is the 3rd season.
It's 3rd season,
right? He happened to get hurt, but the thing is, for Kevin, yeah, because they want to win a championship. So here's the thing: if you try and trade Kyrie Irving right now, if you try and trade Kyrie Irving right now, you're gonna lose Kevin Durant, and that's where the problem lies.
So I think he'll be butthurt, and you probably are not going to re-sign him unless something dramatic, as if a championship was to happen. But you run that risk already, right? Because you look at Kevin Durant. I'm not taking anything away from Kevin Durant, but he's not loyal to any of these organizations. I mean, after Kevin Durant, who's to say after a couple of years or when his contract isn't up or things doesn't shake his way, that he's not going to want to be traded or go elsewhere? I mean, just because he's there now, I wouldn't get so wrapped up in that he's going to finish his career as a net.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't think that's the case with them. But they're talking about right now. They feel like they have the and I mean, you said it. You picked the Nets to win a championship. So you ain't winning no championship. You're not winning the championship without one of those two. I mean, you're not going to win a championship without Kyrie Irving, and you're not going to win a championship without KD. So I mean,
depending on what you got back from Kyrie, I mean, I still think that's
Ben Simmons. I think if you get Ben Simmons, yeah. I mean, But that's not gonna happen.
I would want to do it, but I think that's a
yeah. You get Ben Simmons. Absolutely.
yeah, that's.
I mean, you're losing 3-point shooting, but you're gaining a on-ball defender for damn near any of the 5 positions. Somebody that could drive to the hole just like Kyrie, and I mean, you got other scorers. You got Joe Harris, Katie, and Harden that and some other guys that can shoot threes. So I mean, everything ain't about shooting threes. But the thing is, if you get Ben Simmons and you trade Kyrie Irving, you are going to have a problem with KD, and there's gonna be turmoil within that organization. There may not be a situation where they're gonna get by just on talent, but there's gonna be turmoil throughout the organization, and it just won't work, and then they're gonna end up losing to Miami.
So here's the deal, right? It may be turmoil, but it's all on how you explain it, and it's all on how you package it. You know what I mean? Like if you have that conversation with Durant and you pull him in and you lay out the details and you lay out what direction you're going in, and you tell him that, hey, we're not going to make this out to be your decision or anything like that, and you just get a good sense of how he's feeling, because I'm sure at some point too he wanted to play with Kyrie, but he probably didn't sign up for all this stuff either, that's going on. So
he knows Kyrie. He knows Kyrie better than most of the people in the league. He knew what he was getting himself into. He definitely knew what he was getting.
I don't know about that. No. I mean, so we could say that at afar, but I think that he's been a little bit more. How do I say this? He's been a little bit more vocal with the Nets, and he's been a little bit more out there. I mean, from what we could tell. Now, maybe other organizations kept this under wraps a little bit more, but I mean, he kind of just does what he wants to do. And I mean, at some point, you have to start to think like, okay, so you're in a championship or bust situation, right? So you got Kevin Durant. Yeah, he could play for what you say 4 or 5 more years at a high level, but that window is going to close in on him eventually, right? You don't want to be known as the team that we had these 3 superstars, but we couldn't keep them together. They couldn't all get on the court healthy, and we have nothing to show for it but a couple of appearances to the playoffs. So you start thinking as an organization, like how much longer are we going to have Harden? How much longer are we going to have Durant? And then we got this other guy that, yeah, he's got some stuff that he wants to do off the court. He's got some views that don't really necessarily agree with what we got going on. He's a wild card. Do we give up on him or do we stay the course? And I think that's a legitimate question. And I think if you're Durant, you've got to ask yourself too, because your legacy is not on the line. But I think that if he gets this ring with Brooklyn as the main piece, it's going to do more for his legacy. I think right now, most people, I don't want to say they've forgotten the fact that he's went to Golden State and kind of hopped on their team, but it's still there. People want to see, hey, can he really carry a team and do it by himself? I think he's capable of it, but I think it's going to take his legacy to the next step if we see that. And if you're Durant, you got to start thinking about that stuff. And I think that he is thinking about it. Now, will he just say, but the other side is too, I don't think that he wants to be the person to come out and be like, yo, Kyrie, get yourself together or we'll get you up out of here. I don't think he's going to say that publicly, or I don't even think he even wants to say that privately. I think maybe he might need somebody else step in to have that conversation.
I mean, we don't see, but it's gonna be interesting. So, all right. So we got. So, I think it's time. Let's before we get our guest on here. I do want to answer this one question that we had from two guys. Ultimately, with the 75 players, do they redo the whole list or do they just add on to the list? What they should do is probably redo the whole list, right? But what I think they're gonna do is just add another 25 players to the list.
Yeah, I think they got to redo the list too. I think some players that were on the other lists, I mean, it's been better players to come along.
And I mean, throughout 25 years, you're not going to just pick one guy per year. So I mean, you know, Lenny Wilkins and somebody.
You know, I don't want to take that away from Lenny Wilkins.
You know,
he was bad in his day. But yeah, he coming off that
those
list.
Guys ain't better than those guys are better than Carmelo. So or Dame. So
they coming up off that list.
Yeah, come up off that list.
Yeah, we got to
all
redo that.
Right, man. So last week, well, I'm sorry, a couple months ago, myself and a good friend of the show, we made a bet. I wish we could get, you know, we may try and get Jamal on here as well, but let's bring on Charles, because he was in the comments last week. Ooh, he was talking crazy. I mean, he was talking bad. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, go call your kids, call your best friends, your college roommates. Go call, because this is going to be interesting. All right, let's bring Charles on here. Hey, Charles, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing, man. That's all. I can say.
So I would like to say you're honorable man. You know, and you definitely, you definitely honored your bet. So let me get the details to the bets before, you know, and I think it's best to what you say, detail the bets and give everybody all the details.
Yeah,
so
give them the details.
Initially, you know, Scott and myself, I mean, Charles and myself was having a conversation about the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys, and this was during the preseason. I told him that the Cowboys will win that game, and he said, "You want to bet?" And I think I might have said 100, right? And then he said 500. I said, "Oh, I ain't no punk." So I said, "Okay." And then I think I don't know if somebody put a battery in his back, and he said, "Shoot, we can just go for 1,000." And I said, "Whoa!" I think it might have been. I might have just got back from MGM, and I was feeling myself. Mm-hmm. And I said, "You know what? Cool. Let's do 1,000." So we had $1,000 bet. So then we was on a group chat, and our good friend Jamal, who you all saw during the NFL preview show, he's a Cowboys fan as well. He said, "Shoot, I want to get in on that bet." And me being the friend that I am, I said, "You know what? I ain't gonna do that to Charles." I said, "You know what? Let's go half on this bet. So if Charles loses, he just got to pay me 500. He got to pay Jamal 500." And we going, you know, Charles did this. Oh, let's go. So I was like, "Oh, then we doing it then."
Yeah.
So then we was cool with that. We was cool.
Yep.
Then last week came and we were previewing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Charles had some of that what you call it, that liquid boost. I don't know if it was like a liquid. I don't know what it was at that moment.
It wasn't nothing. It was natural energy.
He was just naturally just high. I think he was naturally high. And he said, he was in the comments. He said, "Man, forget that. You want to bet a hat? Let's bet a hat on it then."
Now let's correct this now for the people, because you were talking and then my name came up for some odd reason on last week's show, And then he's like, you know what? I know you listening. And he was like, I know you listening. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna include a hat. If you lose, I gotta buy a hat, a Dallas Cowboys hat. I said, okay, bet. You know me, I ain't backing away from no challenges. So I said, okay, bet in the comments. Then he was like, oh no, we're gonna sweeten the deal even further. You know how Ant get, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. So then, guess what? He's like, yo, we're gonna do the Yoke 'em Up challenge. And sure enough, I accepted.
All right, so before
hold on. Before we even get to that, though, I did receive a message from the Burning Goats.
What's up?
And they want to know: they want this for Anthony. They want to know if you would accept a Yoke 'em Up challenge with the Burning Goat because they beat you last week.
No. Why?
It's too late.
Yeah, I mean, why would it be too late?
I mean, do something current, like next week or something.
Yeah, I don't want to change the net, but yeah, I lost my matchup to the Burning, but he's still down there somewhere. He down there somewhere. He's not even in the playoff picture, so I don't even care. Like that goat with the cock eyes. I don't even. You know what I mean, he can't even see straight. You know, he can't talk straight. So those burning goats could go burn in hell. All right. You know?
Tell him, Samuel.
So let's not take the focus away from where the focus has got to go. You know what I'm saying? So I said, I want to just say, Charles, you did a wonderful job reenacting what just happened. You sounded like Funkmaster Flex, like you sounded like he was a WWE promoter. So I want to have your thoughts. So as the game was happening, what were you doing? And don't lie to the people because
you already know what happened. And you already know what was being done.
Happening as the Cowboys were scoring. What did you do?
Well, I had to take a drink, people. I was just taking a drink of some Don Tito's. All right.
It wasn't Don Tito's. It's not Don Tito's.
All right, whatever. The Tito. Tito. Yeah. I was taking a drink of the Tito. I couldn't take it because every time they scored, it was crazy. It was just play after play just going wrong. Now we did have a couple of moments that we did celebrate, but I mean, yeah, Dallas ran away with the game.
So I feel like that you are an honorable man.
Yes.
And well, I did hear something about that you wanted to do 2 eggs. Is that what you said last week?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just an egg. I know what I said.
All right,
but
so
I did draw your facial expression on the egg. Okay. With your name on it. Because this is the look you gave me when I was like, you know what? I lost. That evil look. So I had to do something. I had to put
Charles, you ain't gonna mess up that nice sweatshirt that you got, man. Nice hoodie, are you?
You know what I gotta do this, man. This is for off the record.
Give him the horse. Give him the horse. He's got it. He's got it.
This shell is on his head. Oh
my God. Oh man.
Woo. Hey man. Hey, that was you're right. That was excellent, Charles.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go, man.
Oh,
yes,
man. Charles, thank you for being a good sport, man. Good sport, man.
Charles, you know what?
Give him, give him the good shots for being an excellent sport, man.
See, that's why I went and got the fresh shout out to my barber. Got the fresh baldy today because I knew what was about to happen this evening. I had to be fresh with it.
You should have left it. You know what I mean? You should have left it with the
Nah, it's already
Yeah. Oh man, hey man. again, shout out to Charles, man. Hey, you know, when I'm gonna send you a link for the hat. It's going, you know, it's nice, man. Charles,
send me the link,
know,
man.
You know, so here's the thing, though. I won't even do Charles like, you know, last year. I mean, it was last year, but Charles has been winning his bets, and Charles is actually in first place in our fantasy league. We're gonna give him some props on that. Let's give him some horns for that. You know, because he's in sole possession. He's in sole possession of first by himself. When folks laughed at him during the draft, I was one of them. That was like
took a beating. I laughed at him. Took a beating during the draft.
You know, I'll face him in a couple weeks. I think at that point we'll be fighting for first and second at that time.
Yeah. Next week,
I took an L to him
because I'm just gonna put this out there like live because I know I'm gonna be 5-0 this week, so there's no sense in trying, Corey. Yes, I said it.
I wasn't expecting that. Ooh.
Well, that's what happens when you come to off the record. You don't know what to expect.
Jeez.
So this is what happens.
So you're guaranteeing the victory over.
Oh yeah, definitely. I probably won't even look at the scoreboard till Monday. Like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
I just don't have any confidence in him beating me. Like he's already 0-4. Let's you know what we're gonna talk fantasy real quick. Just real quick. He's already 0-4. He hasn't really done anything throughout the entire season so far. He's about to be 0-5. I mean, what are we? I'm actually looking forward to you. That I've already like skipped to the week. I'm just ready and just watching.
We battle next week, right?
Yeah, we next week. Yeah, I'm not even thinking about this week.
Ooh.
I know it's a 5-0.
Jeez.
I'm just trying to break the scoreboard so I can get at least 1,000 and some change as far as like the points in fantasy. And right now I'm at 800 something. So I'm at least expecting to score 200 or better. If I score less than 200, I'm a failure against this opponent.
Man, oh man, oh man. All right, so I just like to let everybody know that we introduced Charles to fantasy, like fantasy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting this either. I mean, this guy, you know, sheesh. All right, man. Well, hey, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on here, man. Because matter of fact, you'll be on. You have a segment on or not
podcast. That's right. Charles and Charles segment coming up this Monday at 7:30 p.m. Ow!
that ow got you in trouble last time, so you better. So check him out. Check him out on there. Yeah, man. This man Charles is crazy, man. I just want to say that. But shout out to y'all too, you guys. Andy came through last week.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go out to watch the games, but I had a situation with my foot. The fellas came through. We was watching the games, eating drinks and things like that. So
they put me onto that good red zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And so so here's the thing. I think red zone. Had we not had red zone and was watching the Cowboy game, you might have had to. I might have had to go upstairs and get you a blanket because you would have been drinking way too much.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that
we punished the Don Tito's. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Or no, the Don Tito's. That's what I kept calling it. Tito's.
Tea's toes. I don't know why he was drinking teas.
I don't know. It happens.
Man, so all right, man. So I think it's time for us to get up out of here. Oh, anything else you want to shout out? You got the floor right now.
I just want to shout out Battlegrounds, of course, and anybody out there that think they know music and really knows music. Join Battlegrounds, and you're gonna find out how much you really don't know when it comes to music. So come through the Battlegrounds. I challenge you. Anybody out there listening, I challenge you. Check out Battlegrounds and come through.
I say this, Jamal, if you out there watching still, I know you out with the fam, but if you still out there watching it, it was only 5-5. We're gonna go into overtime. But no, man. So let's hey, Phil is coming for you, dog. Yeah. So
Phil, keep talking. It might be a Battlegrounds on Sunday or Saturday. Phil.
Yeah, possibly. But let's get out of here, man. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B.
And Mr. Excellence over there. Mr. Excellence.
Man, I'm about to take a shower.
It's real eggy over there.
Yeah.
We out.
Peace.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.